I've opened a session called Identifying Sync Points, and I have a siren sound effect in here. Let's take a listen. So I'm in shuffle mode. I'm going to zoom in just a bit and trim off this little blip here at the beginning that isn't actually part of the siren. And now I get... So let's say that there's a point in here where the siren starts, its frequency climb, let's call it. Okay, I'm just a little bit behind it. That's pretty good. So let's say we want to identify that point. There are timeline markers. We're going to see that in a little while. But I want to identify that point in this clip. I want to mark a spot right there. And you can do this whether this clip contains dialogue, music, or a sound effect. ProTools calls it a sync point. So I'll select the whole clip and then go to the clip menu. And ProTools is ready to remove the sync point, even though I haven't even defined it. And that's because a sync point is a specific point in time. So let me go back to here, where the new cycle starts again. Go to the clip menu, and now I can identify the sync point. So on a Mac, it's Command, comma. On a PC, it's Control, comma. And there's a little triangle now that shows up in the waveform. There are two important things about sync points. The sync point is attached to the clip. So if I go to slip mode and I move this clip down a little bit, notice that that point is referenced to the waveform, not to the timeline. Markers, we'll find out, are referenced to the timeline, not to the waveform. So if you want to mark a waveform in a clip, this is the way to do it. The other important thing is that a clip can only have one sync point. If I make another, let's go back here to where the siren sound falls down. Okay, and let's mark that as a clip sync point. Notice that the first one's gone now, moved over here. You can only have one per clip. If I cut somewhere in here, then I can go to that previous point and identify sync point, and now I can have one on either side of the edit line, but I can only have one per clip, per region. So let's say we're doing music for a game or a movie, and we want to create some music so that 8 beats of the music equals one cycle of the siren. So I'm going to undo these sync points and that edit. And let's say that this is a new iteration of the siren. Okay, so let's make an edit there. And then we'll just get rid of the back half of that just so that we can concentrate on this one cycle, one up, one down. So we want to know how this would fit with music. Let's do a sub counter. And let's take a look at bars and beats in that sub counter. Bars and beats aren't showing in the timeline. Have them show. And so we see that at this tempo, the downbeat of 3, which would be the third bar of our phrase, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, boom, is happening a little bit before the end of the siren sound. So we're going to go to Window, Transport, and take a look at tempo. Let's just bring it down here between the two waveforms. And then go in this direction. Notice that the 3 across the top is crawling to the end of the waveform and gets there about 108, 107. Let's take a look at the grid and see where 3 falls. If I switch to bars and beats, 3 falls right there. So it's like 107 and some change. And that's how you can determine the, can I say, tempo of a sound effect. It doesn't have an inherent tempo, but it does have a pace at which it repeats. And when you're combining it with music, you're concerned about the tempo of the sound effect. So now we could look for a piece of library music in the 108 BPM range, or we can create a piece at that tempo. Notice it's kind of not perfectly symmetrical. What I mean by that is, here's the downbeat of 2 if I'm in grid mode, and the sound has not yet started to fall, so that the first bar sounds like this. It's not really falling, it's not really climbing, it's just hovering up there at the top. And the second bar sounds like this. You know, it's pretty good, almost symmetrical. It just hangs on for that top and then starts to fall again. So this one would work pretty well. I'm almost guessing you could trim off this last little piece and operate at 108 and get away with it. But to be really precise, you'd want to go 107.5 or so to fall in with the music.